Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on wherever you are based. Welcome to the Sustain Cert VVB training, the second quarterly training that we are doing for this year. So before we start, maybe we can give a couple of more minutes to whoever is on the way, and we'll start shortly. Thank you. Hi again, everyone. I think in the interest of time, we can get this webinar going, and a copy of this recording will always be available in case if any of you missed the earlier earlier sections of the webinar, they can always be revisited. So thanks again for joining the webinar today. We have quite a few things, a few important updates to cover in the webinar today. So to make our time, more efficient, we'll probably take questions towards the end of the webinar. But in the meantime, feel free to use the chat box or the questions box, which you can see on the dashboard, to type in any questions. We'll be happy to maybe go through those questions at the end of the webinar if we have time. If not, then we'll be responding to them individually by email. Also, we'll be preparing a small transcript of the questions that we received during the webinar, and we'll circulate a copy of that as well with all the attendees, which you can refer to in future as well. So I hope that I'm audible, I'm clear. If not, then just type in a message in the chat box. But I'm assuming that the connection is good and you all can hear me well. So before starting, maybe I can quickly introduce myself. So my name is Neha, and I'm working as the Director of Stakeholder Relations at SustainCert. I'm based in India. So today's webinar is going to be more focused on some of the recent rule updates that have been released by Gold Standard. We'll also take a look at some other recent developments and new initiatives that we are working on. For instance, the VVB performance management system, and some other tools and supporting platforms that we are working on, for instance, the Sustain Cert knowledge base. And in the end, we'll take a look at the new GS4GG website that has been released by Gold Standard for the standard documents. This is just basically a new improved version of the old Gold Standard website. So I think we can start with the VVB performance management system. I think this was, also highlighted by my colleague Richard in the last VVB training, if some of you were there in that training. So SustainCert is basically planning to, update its performance management system. So SustainCert currently already has an existing performance management system. But there are quite a few revisions and updates which are required in that performance management system. So this performance management system basically feeds into the VVB approvals that are managed by Gold Standard, and also the annual eligibility requirements, which you all auditors have to maintain. So this performance management system is being updated at the moment. We plan to support this performance management system with the help of conformity checklists that we are working on, and also we are updating our templates. So these basically will help and support you all in the assessments that you carry out. We have also been working on the feedback forms or the review forms that SustainCert sends as part of the certification process. And the idea is to, involve you all more in the certification process. And therefore, many of you must have already noticed that we have, started addressing the comments or the clarifications or any corrective actions which are required to be addressed, mostly to the VVPs and not to the PTs. So we plan to, implement this updated performance management system by the end of this month, that is Q2 2020. So this is nothing but, a sort of a scoring system, which will be linked to some key aspects of gold standard certification requirements. For instance, SDG assessment, safeguarding principles assessment, materiality in emission reduction calculations, etc. and etc. And this, scoring will ultimately be shared with all the VVBs as a way to provide, more constructive and structured feedback. So VVBs, since are a very, very important part of the entire certification process, and since, SustainCert cannot manage the recertification process without the involvement of VVBs. So it is, our utmost priority to involve VVBs as much as possible in our processes, and also make sure that we are able to, communicate our expectations and communicate, our feedback to the VVBs in a timely manner, so that, both the parties can benefit from this process. And definitely, information from the performance management system also feeds into the approval process of the VVBs, the GS4GG approval process for VVBs, which is managed currently by Gold Standard. So these were, some of the initiatives that we are working on. So in terms of the next steps, what you can expect from SustainCert is that, we'll start reaching out to all the VVBs by the end of this month, with some information from our side. So this will, include the overall average scores that we have been that we have been providing to all the validations and verifications that you have done in Q1 to Q2 this year. We'll also be sharing, the individual scores of each validation and verification that you have performed. We'll also be, very happy to share, the areas of improvement that we feel, you could further work upon. And also not to forget the strength areas. We've seen that, some VVPs have very good, skills and the technical expertise to, let's say, assess the additionality and assessments or investment analysis. But on the other hand, they may lack, on some other areas. So our feedback will focus on all these points, and this will become sort of a baseline based on which, we'll be further assessing, how this goes on for the rest of the year. We'll also be, happy to share the updated and the new scoring system that we are working on for your feedback, because since you will be scored on it, so I think it's a good idea to, keep you involved. And if some of you, are interested to actively approach us to provide feedback on this, or maybe work on the scoring system with us, then please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. And once we have released this updated performance management system, we'll also be organizing some drop-in sessions for all the VVPs, wherein any questions or any specific feedback or suggestions can be taken to finalize this performance management system. Okay, so I think that was the update that we wanted to give you on the performance management system. So look out, for more communications from our side, and look out for all this information that we'll slowly start reaching out to you with by the end of the month. Then I think next up is the technical updates. So there are two segments to this session on technical updates. First, we'll take a look at some of the new rule updates and clarifications that have been released by Gold Standard. And in the second segment, we'll probably go over some of the older but important updates to keep in mind. So there were, three recent rule updates that were released by GS, I think in the last couple of weeks itself. The first one, is related to VPA CPA inclusion requirements. So this basically, comes out as a part of the overall revamping of the POA process that Gold Standard is working on. If you have been, attending the webinars regularly, then you would see that Gold Standard is, systematically releasing at least one update related to POAs in all the rule releases that they are doing. So this is a part of the broader work that they are doing to make the POA process more efficient and more streamlined. So this one, is basically focused on providing flexibility in terms of the compliance check requirements that the VVBs do. Also provides some sort of flexibility in terms of documentation which is required to be submitted for POA design change requests. We'll see what is the role of new role of VVBs in this case. And then also we'll see how these requirements impact the time of submission of design change requests specifically for the activities. So this new rule basically is applicable to all non-micro scale POAs, meaning all small, large scale POAs can make use of this rule. And regardless of the version of the standard under which the POA was registered, these rules can be applied. Meaning if a POA was registered under version 2 or version 2.1 of Gold Standard, they can still make use of this new rule update. This comes into force on 13th of August 2020. There is still, a grace period which is given for this rule update to become applicable, because it impacts some of the internal certification processes at SustainCert, which needs to be revisited and streamlined to accommodate this new rule update. So in terms of the inclusion process, the rule update basically says that CME can now go ahead and directly include the activities in the registered POA without the need of any VVB compliance check. However, there are certain conditions under which this can be done. For instance, if this would be allowed if at least one VPA or CPA of the registered POA has completed the performance certification. And also, the activity that has completed the performance certification involves the same technology measure or uses the same methodology in case of a single technology POA, or same technology measure or a combination of the same methodologies in case of multi-technology POA. So even though this step basically streamlines the certification process for POAs However, this does not mean that VVB compliance check is not required at all. The VVB compliance check will still be required in some situations that we'll see in the next slides. But if any VPS CPA fulfills these two conditions, then in those cases, a VVB compliance check is basically not required. If let's say there are VPAs or CPAs that are not deemed automatically additional, or there are any activities which require additionality demonstration, or if there are any material issues which are identified for those activities at preliminary review stage by sustained cert, then in those cases those activities would still be required to undergo a VVB compliance check before they can be submitted to sustained cert for inclusion. Also, in cases wherein if a VVB finds at the time of verification that the inclusion criteria is not met, or the activities does not comply with the inclusion criteria, then those would be considered as erroneous inclusion, and for those activities also a full VVB compliance check would be required. So in those cases, no new activities will be allowed to be included without the positive inclusion of a VVB compliance check for at least the next two activities. And in case of erroneous inclusion of activities, the liability basically lies with the CME, and the paragraph 18 of the POAs and liabilities of the GS for GG POA requirements will apply in this case. So in summary, if there are any activities which are erroneously included, if there are any activities which are not deemed additional, if there are any activities for which material issues are identified at preliminary review stage, or if there are any activities which have been highlighted by sustained cert at the very beginning for a full compliance check, or if there are any activities which require the additionality demonstration, then those would still have to undergo a full VVB compliance check before inclusion. So Gold Standard, has also looked into the process of POA design change, and they have made, some changes in the process of design change approval in case of, POAs. So there are, two scenarios. The scenario one deals with any design change which happens at POA level, and scenario two deals with any design changes happening or taking place at the activity level. In case of design changes happening at POA level, then in those cases the documents, the activity documents for the approval of design change are not required to be submitted. So only the POA level documents can be submitted for the approval of design change. However, in case of a design change happening at an activity level, and depending on whether the changes are material or minor, an opinion by VVB will also be required. For instance, in cases where permanent changes or any material changes are being made to the activities, in those cases, the design change request has to be submitted before the verification or performance certification. So in those cases, the design change will be reviewed by sustained cert via a separate design change review process track. However, if the changes are minor in nature, then in those cases, the VVB, the verifying VVB, can directly review and provide an opinion on the design change as part of the verification. And in those cases, the design change request can be submitted simultaneously or together with the request uh, for the issuance of the activity. So let's take a look at what qualifies as a minor change. So any change which does not impact the overall broad design is considered as a minor change. Any deviation, any temporary deviation which is taking place from the registered monitoring plan um, is considered as a minor change, as long as it is conservative and does not impact uh, the GHG emission reduction estimations to a material impact. Any changes that does not have any impact on the applicability of the methodology or the accuracy and completeness of the monitoring data, etc., will also be qualified as a minor change. And any change which does not impact the additionality, which does not impact the scale, or which does not impact the application of any standardized baseline in case of activities, will also be considered as a minor change. So in all these situations, the verifying VVB itself can provide an opinion on the design change as part of the verification process itself. So that were, some streamlining initiatives that were introduced by Gold Standard for POAs. Now let's move on to, some updates related to the eligibility requirements for renewable energy projects who are either transitioning from other carbon credit schemes or who seek a label um, that is, CDM projects who wish to get labeled under GS4GG. Now, GS4GG renewable energy activity requirements, came up with the new eligibility requirements, which I hope you might remember, which were released in January 2020. So this, new eligibility requirement basically restricts the eligibility of the projects located in only to those, which are located in LDCs or SIDS or LLDCs. And maybe with, some exceptions to countries based on income group and penetration level of the technology. So these eligibility requirements, are also applicable to the projects, to renewable energy projects, which are transitioning to GS4GG from other carbon crediting schemes. And also to the CDM projects who wish to get labeled under GS4GG. However, this rule update now relaxes the eligibility requirements for the transitioning projects and for CDM projects who wish to label their emission reductions under GS4GG. So in summary, any grid connected renewable energy project which is transitioning from other carbon crediting schemes, or if there are any CDM projects, any grid connected renewable energy CDM projects who wish to get labeled under GS4GG, are all exempted from this new eligibility requirements. However, this exemption, is only allowed for those projects which have started the first crediting period uh, from 1st Jan 2016, meaning the crediting period of the original carbon crediting scheme. So if there is a CDM grid connected CDM renewable energy project from India, which has a crediting period starting from 1st Jan 2016, they are still eligible to get labeled under GS4GG. And this rule update, has already been entered into force. So any grid connected renewable energy project from other schemes or CDM are also now eligible under GS4GG. The last new rule is related to the eligible crediting period for projects transitioning to GS4GG or CDM projects who wish to get labeled under GS4GG. So there are a couple of there were a couple of requirements for these two scenarios in the GS4GG documentation. For instance, the GHG emission reductions and sequestration product requirements states that CDM projects can claim the remaining CDM crediting period under GS4GG, but it should not be more than the maximum crediting years which are allowed under the relevant GS4GG activity requirements. And also at the same time, it stated that wherever a GS project is registered under one or other more than one other voluntary carbon standards or certification schemes, then the total aggregated crediting period under all schemes combined shall not exceed the standard crediting period which is allowed under GS. So this rule update basically harmonizes these two separate requirements on transitioning projects and CDM projects. So in summary, this rule update says that any project which is transitioning from other scheme or any CDM project looking for labeling cannot change the crediting period or cannot extend the crediting period. For instance, if a CDM project is registered with a fixed crediting period and also gets registered with gold standard, then the crediting period remains same. That is, it remains a fixed crediting period and cannot be changed or extended by gold standard. Also, the other important takeaway is that the total duration of the crediting period, including all the schemes combined, remains what is allowed, what is the maximum maximum permissible limit as per the GS4GG activity requirements. For instance, if there is a project X and it was registered, with another, carbon credit scheme with a fixed crediting period, then the total crediting period of that project with the other standard and with GS4GG must remain 10 years. And the project can only claim the remaining of these, maximum 10 years only when it transitions successfully to GS4GG. So similar logic applies to a case wherein a project has a renewable crediting period. So the overall crediting period duration can be only 21 years, can be 15 years, which is allowed by GS4GG. And if out of those 15 years, 5 years, have already been claimed under any other standard, then only the remaining 10 years can be claimed under GS4GG after successful transitioning of the project to GS4GG. Now, the transitioning of the project to GS4GG will be defined by the transition guidelines. Also, if also the same logic applies in case of labeling projects, that is CDM projects. So the emission reductions cannot be labeled beyond the maximum crediting period which is allowed under GS4GG. And the same logic on the remaining crediting period also applies to CDM projects getting labeled under GS4GG. So if a CDM project has already claimed 3 years of CERs with CDM and has a fixed crediting period, then only the remaining 7 years can be labeled under GS4GG. And this again is applicable only once the project successfully transitions to GS4GG as per the transition guidelines. Also, this applies to all the earlier versions of the CDM projects which were registered with GS. Um, Also, the project will still be eligible for retroactive crediting for a maximum of 2 years prior to the date of gold standard registration. So the rule on retroactive crediting remains the same. However, the total crediting period will be defined by the GS4GG activity requirements. So those were some of the new updates. We thought it might be worth to maybe go over some other old but important updates that were released by gold standard, and one such an update were the interim measures for the COVID-19 situation, which were released by GS and are valid till 1st of September 2020. So we thought of quickly going through these interim measures because some of these also apply to the VVBs in general, and also this has some guidelines for the VVBs as well. So the interim measures basically talk about three main project cycle stages. The first one is stakeholder consultation, the second one is monitoring, and the third one is the auditing. So in terms of the stakeholder consultation, gold standard now basically has given a chance or an option to the project developers to postpone the physical meeting. However, a physical meeting will still be required before the project submits to SustainCert for the design certification. And since the POA design consultations does not need a physical meeting, they can go on as usual. So for initiating the preliminary review, the project documents without conducting the physical meeting and the stakeholder feedback round, if required, can be submitted by the project developers. The second, stage is the monitoring stage, and for this, there are basically three options which have been given to the project developers. So the first option is to basically employ any alternative monitoring approach for data collection. This could be, let's say telephone calls. This could be a mobile monitoring survey, or collection of data through SMS or through WhatsApp. So any alternative monitoring approach can be proposed by the project developer. However, this approach should still meet the completeness and the conservativeness of the aspect of the monitored parameters. The second option is to basically postpone the monitoring activity till the situation eases. But whenever the project developer decides to start the monitoring at a later stage, then in those cases, credible and conservative assumptions or the relevant discount factors that are applied again should be conservative and should not result into overestimation of the monitored data. The third option is to basically not monitor, but take an extension of the non-monitored period towards the end of the crediting period. For instance, I'm a project developer in Rwanda, and Rwanda, let's say, currently has some strict restrictions in terms of movement and travel, and I just cannot go on site to collect the data, and I'm not able to collect any data for 3 months. Then this option provides me the chance to basically not claim any emission reductions for these 3 months, but get the crediting period extended by another 3 months. So this is another option. In any case, deviations are all handled by gold standard. So a deviation request form, which is available on GS website should be filled up with relevant information and should be sent to GS at COVID-19 at goldstandard.org. The third important stage is the auditing stage, and Gold Standard basically has given the option of a desk-based review or a remote audit if the site visit by the VVB cannot be postponed. So the interim measures basically give some guidelines for the VVBs which should be taken into account if they are going for a remote audit or a desk-based audit. And some of these measures, could include cross checks, between information which is provided in the documents and those which are available in the public domain. The interviews, can be conducted with the stakeholders by telephone or video conferencing. And the information, which is provided by these interviewed personnel can also be, cross-checked with other sources to make sure that, no relevant information has been omitted. And also, wherein no other specified, means of validation or verification are given, then the VVB, is free to adopt, any other alternative approaches to basically validate or verify the data or information given by the project developer. In case the VVB is doing a remote audit or a desk-based audit, then they have to transparently disclose this information in the audit report by saying that the audit has been done remotely. And then also all the alternative approaches and means that were used to verify or validate the information should be listed, and a justification should be provided as to why this is the most relevant alternative mean to do it. Also, the audit reports, for requesting design certification or performance certification to sustain cert should be submitted within 6 months of the declared end date of interim measures. This means that if the interim measures are going to expire on 1st September 2020, then after 1st September, within 6 months, that is 28th Feb, by 28th Feb 2021, the audit reports for design certification or performance certification should be submitted to sustain cert if the validation or verification has been done remotely. Another important point to keep in mind, especially for verification, is that the maximum monitoring period that is allowed for a remote audit is only 2 years. So this is, the limit that has been put on the monitoring period in case the verification is done by a desk review. If you have, any novel or new ways of, achieving this this remote audit or desk-based audit, then please feel free to share them with GS at covid19@goldstandard.org, because it is possible that depending how the situation, the COVID-19 pandemic situation turns, this might get further extended, and all these alternative measures and means will then be released by Gold Standard, which will be beneficial for all the VVBs. Another quick refresher on an important rule update which was released a couple of months back, was on the validation and verification by the same VVB. So basically, now as per this new rule update, a same VVB can undertake validation or inclusion in case of POS, and verification, crediting period renewal, design change review of a given project, irrespective of the project type, the project scale, the certification type or pathway, program or interventions. So basically, a same VVB can now go ahead and carry out, all these reviews or assessments of a given project activity. This rule update, also applies to all the projects which were registered with the earlier versions. So version 2 or version 2.1 projects can also apply this rule, and to make use of the same VVB for validation and verification, there is no prior authorization which is required from GS. However, there are certain requirements which shall be put into place by the VVB, and these revolve around the integrity and impartiality of the verification audit. So basically, the entire verification audit team, including the lead auditors, the auditors, sectoral experts, their expertise, etc., all has to be listed in the verification report if the same VVB has done the validation as well of that project. And this needs to be disclosed transparently in the verification report. This, however, does not apply to combined design certification with first verification and performance review for a given project. And also in case of any malfeasance or fraud, then GS retains the right to take relevant action, which could include suspension of the project or also cancellation of the VVB approval status. This comes into force from 2nd of October 2020, and the implications of this rule for VVBs is that if any VVB signs an agreement to perform a verification for a project or POA for which they have performed the validation before, then the VVB shall basically meet the different audit team requirements as required by this rule. However, in case of POAs, VVB can immediately start applying these rules, and they don't need to wait for this update to come into the force, and they can have different audit teams for inclusion, validation, and verification, and still be able to do both these assessments for the same project. So those were, some of the important technical updates that we wanted to share with you. Now that we are, towards the end of the webinar, we thought we'll, quickly go over through some of the, developments and initiatives that we are working on. And one such, initiative is the Sustain Cert knowledge base. And this knowledge base is basically a self-help platform that we are working on for VVBs and for project developers. So the idea is that any VVB or any project developer can find the answers to any specific concerns or any specific queries with the help of this knowledge base. And even after going through the knowledge base, they are not able to find the relevant information, then they can always approach the Sustain Cert help desk. But the idea is to make this platform self-reliant, in the sense that any sort of preliminary set of information or basic steps or basic details related to the process, the fees, the requirements, rule updates can all be gathered with the help of this platform. So knowledge base basically sits under the resources section on Sustain Cert website, and this basically takes you to the main page. So different articles can be searched on knowledge base. So the knowledge base is equipped with searching of some keywords. So if you enter let's say some keywords, then all the relevant information or articles related to those keywords will appear. So for instance, these are some of the articles that you can find on knowledge base. We are rigorously expanding and populating the knowledge base, and there are quite a few articles on on the process, on the eligibility requirements, on recent rule updates, all of which you can find on the knowledge base itself. Uh, of course, the knowledge base, would be helpful and useful if you are able to, collect regular feedback from all the users of the knowledge base. So I would, highly encourage you all to start using, knowledge base for any, questions that you might have. Of course, if you're not able to resolve those issues, then you can definitely reach out to help desk. But we would highly urge you to start using knowledge base and provide us with feedback if there are any missing topics or if there are any missing pieces of information that you would like to see on this platform. The other useful feature of knowledge base is that it provides a direct link to the relevant sections or to the relevant activity requirements document or to the rule requirements which might be applicable to that specific query. In terms of other initiatives, as I mentioned earlier in the webinar as well, we were also taking a very detailed visit at the current templates that we have. And this again is a part of all the support and guidance which goes and feeds into the VPB performance management system that we discussed a few slides back. So SustainCert is currently reviewing the project templates, and the idea is to make these templates more user friendly, not only for project developers but also for VPBs, in order to take a look at the most critical information and be able to assess the relevant information on any project activity. For instance, there is no guidance in the monitoring reports, in the PDDs, in the POA, or any other templates in terms of what specific information and how the information is required to be provided. So all this new guidance will be added to the templates. Also, some information on key rules and concepts that are not so intuitive in the standard will be added in the templates. For instance, the 1 year submission window for retroactive VER projects, the 2 year validation deadline window for the GS4GG project. So all these rules that are not linked very well to the information which the project developer provides in the documents. Also, we'll be including a new email address with which you can submit your valuable feedback in terms of how the templates should be improved, or if there is any missing section or any missing information in the templates which should be added. Those will now be possible. We expect to publish these templates by end of July, and if any of you are interested to take an active participation in providing feedback, you can you can reach out to us, and we'll be happy to share a draft version of these templates with you, which you can review and let us know your thoughts. So GS, has recently launched a new GS4GG website. Actually, the website is still the old website, but this section of the website which was used to host the standard documents has now been relaunched. So the documents and the resources, are now being put in a more, easily navigable, manner. For instance, now there are, different tabs for standard documents, tab for VVB resources, for PD resources. There are different sections for all the webinars that we've had. So all this information, is now consolidated in a more user-friendly manner. There is also, I think, a video guide that Gold Standard has put together on how to, use this new website for the standard documents. So we would, definitely recommend you to go through this guide tutorial. This will, help you to understand how and where can the relevant information be found uh, on the new website. So yeah, I think these were, some of the updates that we wanted to share with you. This might be, a lot to take in, because I think Gold Standard is now regularly releasing, rule updates every quarter. Um, and as I said before, a copy of this webinar, a recording copy of this webinar will also be available on the website, which you can always refer to and go back uh, for reference if required. I think we have, some time to maybe take questions. I think we can start. Uh, I think we can start, with some of the questions that we have received in the questions box. So the first question is, for the renewable crediting period part, when would the renewal happen? And I think this question is from Sandeep. So Sandeep, all the projects which have transitioned from the earlier versions of GS4GG can now basically keep the same renewal cycles. If for instance a version 2.1 project has transitioned to GS4GG with the renewable crediting period, then they can still keep the 7 into 3 crediting cycle, and the crediting period renewal will take place after 7 years. However, if a new project is registered or has been submitted under GS4GG, then the crediting cycles would be as per the new GS4GG requirements, which is every 5 years. I hope that was clear. There is another question related to a cook stove project. So in case of a cook stove project, if the lifetime of stove is changed at the time of CPA VPA verification, which has been mentioned, does this qualify as a major design change? And do the CME first ask for the design change approval to GS before the start of verification with the DOE? So I think we discussed what would be considered as a material change and what would be considered as a minor change. So any change which basically does not impact the overall design, the overall broad design of a project, does not impact the applicability of methodology, or does not impact the applicability of standardized baseline, or does not impact the additionality or the scale, will all be considered as a minor change. So if the change in project lifetime of a stove does not impact these major aspects, then it would be considered as a minor change. And if it is a minor change, then in those cases, the VVB can directly review the impact and provide its opinion as part of the verification process itself. So I hope this was clear. I think this was by Sukanta Das. So Sukanta, I hope this clarified your question. The next question is from Anil. So Anil is asking, are you going to share the performance review form templates with VVB to see the scope and content of them? Yes, definitely, Anil. As I mentioned before, VVBs definitely are a very, very important part of the certification process. And sustain cert basically cannot function in solitude without the contribution from VVBs. So we are more than happy to involve VVBs in shaping up the performance management system. So we'll be sharing the current scores that we were able to do for these 6 months of 2020. And we'll also be sharing the updated scoring system for your feedback. So it will be great if you can review that scoring system and provide your feedback so that we can arrive at a system on which all of us agree basically. So Anil, yes, we'll be reaching out to you either by the end of this month or beginning of July. There is another question from Pankaj. So Pankaj is asking if COVID-19 situation does not improve for the next 6 months, it means design review cannot be completed without the physical site visit. So Pankaj, as of now, this stands true, meaning on today's date, let's say if a project has completed the preliminary review, the project has completed the remote audit, etc. So we would still need the physical stakeholder meeting before these requests for design certification can be submitted. However, as I also mentioned, GS is monitoring this situation very closely, and I think they are going to review this again. In the next couple of months, and if they see that the COVID-19 situation is still impacting travel and movement of people, then there might be further changes to these interim measures, or the validity of these interim measures might get extended. But as on today, we would need the physical stakeholder consultation meeting before a project can be registered. So I hope that clarified your question, Pankaj. Are there any other questions? Yes, there is one more question, again by Anil. So Anil is asking the same validation and verification team is allowed if validation and verification are handled by the same VVB, and if the validation and or verification agreements are signed before 2nd of October 2020. So Anil, yes, your interpretation is correct. You can go ahead with the same teams, because the rules unfortunately does not specify anything of the requirements before 2nd of October 2020. So if you have signed any agreement for validation verification, you can still go ahead with the same teams. However, we would still encourage you as a good practice and as a best practice to have different teams if possible. But if not, then again, as it is not required by the rules, this will not be objectionable. But yes, if you sign any contracts after 2nd of October, you would have to put different teams for validation and verification of the same project. I hope this was clear. So yeah, I think those are all the questions that we've received. If there are any further questions that you were not able to post, maybe we can, open the floor to questions. So there is a small, hand icon. I hope you can see that on your dashboard. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask, uh, you can, press that hand icon and I can unmute you. I don't see any raised hands, so I'll assume that there are no further questions. But if there are, you can always reach out to me directly, or you can reach out to us through our help desk, which is help@sustain.com. So thanks again, everyone, for taking out time today for the webinar. We'll be, updating um, the list of the eligible auditors accordingly, and we'll also, circulate a copy of this recording along with the transcript of all the questions that we have received in the webinar. Thanks, everyone, and hope you all stay safe and healthy. Thank you.